hello. I'm Jess, a part of the Loud Woman team, and we are here talking to Kate from Second Idol, a brilliant band based in Sydney, Australia. Hi, Kate. Can you start
Hello.
by telling us about your band?
Of course. So Second Idol, we are based in the inner west of Sydney on Gadigal land. There are four of us in the band. It's led by myself. I'm vocalist and guitarist. We've got Thea, who's on bass. We've got Sunny, who's on guitar, and Afif, who's on drums. Genre-wise, I suppose I'd say that we're kind of broadly speaking like alternative rock. We draw a lot from kind of other influence from like post-punk, grunge, and shoegaze, and a bit of goth as well. So we kind of meld all those influences kind of together. Um, yeah, we are kind of a unique band in our scene that there aren't a lot of bands that sound quite like us in the Sydney scene. And I think what makes us unique as well is that we are quite a combination of different backgrounds and identities, and that's something that's very unique and that we like to kind of band together, kind of in our difference. We all come from different cultural backgrounds and different sexualities and gender identities. And that's something that we all bring together in Second Idol. Yeah.
That's amazing, and I really love your music, the sound of your music. It is very refreshing to hear. There's a lot of post-punk and goth influences. So yeah, I just
Yeah.
love hearing that. And it's really cool that you are diverse people on stage. What was that process like learning your instruments and becoming the front person for yourself?
Gosh, myself, my background is I grew up kind of playing piano and I sang in a lot of choirs growing up. I Yeah, and I think I got to my early teens where one of my friends, um, their older brother was in like the local grunge band and they played guitar, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever and inspired me to want to play guitar. And I was really bad at first. I was really terrible, and I got a few lessons, and then I was kind of self-taught. Yeah, I put it down for a while, and it wasn't until later that I kind of really started getting into a lot of rock bands and rock music that I picked it up again and just taught myself basically. Even though I'm kind of like trained in music, like I grew up reading music on piano and stuff like that. I'm just like completely taught and do guitar by ear. And I think it was just kind of finding my own way and figuring out what I like the sounds of and other artists that I like the sounds of, drawing influence from them. And I think, yeah, I just melded my way through that kind of process, I guess, of just teaching myself and figuring out what felt good and how I wanted to express myself. Yeah, and with the band, we kind of write either I'll kind of bring ideas to the table, or we write songs kind of in the rehearsal, or in this room together, kind of jamming off each other. Yeah.
That's really, really cool. And
Yeah.
sounds like kind of the old school process. Like back in the day, everyone was self-teaching themselves and jamming with their bandmates. So it's nice to hear that's still happening. And
Yeah.
you mentioned that this you're a bit different than the normal scene around you. So Loud Woman is hosting a Sydney show on December 7. Can you talk a little bit about the music scene there and what we can kind of expect to see?
Yeah, I've been involved in the Sydney music scene for about 10 years now, and I've seen a lot of change and reinvention happen over the time. And it's a scene that I hold very dear to my heart. I'm very passionate about the Sydney music scene. Um, Gosh, I don't know where to start. Um, we're kind of involved with I suppose we play with a lot of other kind of alt rock bands, and at the moment there's quite I think there's a lot of DIY spaces and communities happening, and I think because we are a band with queer members, we're friends with a lot of people who are involved in these kind of DIY and like queer run spaces and initiatives, and that's something that's really exciting. It kind of cuts around the edges of convention, I guess, and in yeah, non-conventional spaces and places. And that's been something really exciting to see. There's some lots of experimental artists I feel coming out of Sydney, who have a very kind of artistic kind of vision about themselves. And then there's just a lot of like rock bands, a lot of rock and roll bands. Um, yeah, like we're talking about that we have a bit of like a gothic and post-punk influence. There is a bit of that scene as well, but I suppose in our genre there aren't many bands that are led by women and non-binary folks. So that's I suppose our kind of differentiator. And for us, we are kind of quite more kind of confrontational. So yeah, we kind of tend to stand out in that scene. Um, yeah, but in Sydney, there's a lot of, I suppose, indie rock and stuff around. A bit of dream pop as well. There's a bit of, I feel like there's a bit of a dream pop shoegaze kind of scene coming up, and there's always so much punk, like lots of punk, and actually a huge kind of hardcore resurgence as well. And in Sydney, Sydney's a real sprawling city, and where we're hosting Loud Women is in the inner west, which is kind of like the cultural heart of the city, especially for lots of artists and musicians. But then you've also got Western Sydney, and that's kind of Sydney's kind of like a tale of two cities kind of situation. And Western Sydney is such a big kind of cultural incubator, and such there's so much grassroots initiatives and communities that are popping up there as well. And there's quite a big there's lots of like hardcore bands coming out of there at the moment. So there's lots of exciting things happening in Sydney, and I think over the years we've gone through some kind of harsh kind of there's been government lockout laws and stuff which kind of were really harsh. For anyone who doesn't know, there was venues you couldn't get into a bar after like a certain time and they would stop serving alcohol. And this was in kind of some really key areas where there were music venues. So the government implemented these, state government, not federal government, implemented these new laws, and it really decimated a lot of live music venues. And there was a lot of change that happened, and then COVID happened. So it's kind of Sydney's gone through a lot of change and a lot of rejuvenation, but the people who are in the music scene are here because they're just so passionate and they'll put everything into what they do. And I think that's what makes Sydney so unique. Yeah.
Wow, that's such an interesting history and like learning that there's different pockets of the city and that you were able to survive. The pandemic was hard on a lot of music venues, I think. So I'm glad that it's resurging.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Like there's still like I feel like in every city, in every music scene, it's like the same kind of struggles with small venues in particular, which are just, where people cut their teeth and where bands learn so much and grow and form communities. And yeah, it's just such a thing kind of globally where lots of these venues are kind of struggling. And yeah, I guess it's happening everywhere. But yeah, everyone's got their challenges and struggles as well. Yeah.
mhm, yeah. And you mentioned that you first kind of saw your brother's or your friend's brother's band performing, and that kind of drew you into the music scene. Was it hard entering those spaces back then, and has it changed since then? Is it more welcoming now?
I think it's definitely more welcoming now. I felt like when I first started playing in bands, like I was in uni and it just felt like you had to be pretty ruthless going into it. Like you had to have like a ruthless mentality. I suppose I still kind of have a little bit of that kind of drive and to me in the scene. But I felt like I had to be I was a bit more on my guard with the people that I interacted with because of um, the behaviors that I witnessed or experienced. So I think And I think generally the music industry, like on a grassroots level, has improved a lot in the years that I've been involved. Like a lot of venues that I work with, like venue bookers, now they are very supportive of like any initiatives or lineups where you are forefronting gender diversity. And they kind of have their own kind of disclaimer, I guess, like as a reminder that we want you to be booking diverse lineups. And I think that's really important for that to come from within the scene as well. Um, so yeah, but yeah, things by no means aren't perfect, even though there's been improvements. And I think when I first started playing in bands, I was always like one of the token women on the lineup, as it usually is, or token queer person, token brown person. And that's definitely changed more. And I think it's just so wonderful to play on lineups where we've got like when there's a majority of women or non-binary and trans women on the lineup, it's just the atmosphere is it feels more like a community and that we kind of understand that we've all faced the same kind of struggles, so we've got each other's backs. And I think being able to play more of those shows, it just makes everyone feel a bit stronger and a bit more resilient and to be able to face whatever challenges that we do face in the scene because even though things, like I was saying, things are good, every now and then you have an interaction or something where you walk away feeling like, oh, we were the diversity hire on the lineup and we not weren't there because people liked the music, but because they wanted to, tick a box or something like that. So I feel like those moments where you do get to kind of come together and instances such as having Loud Women Fest are just so important to um I don't know, it's just such a reminder of having each other's backs and to be able to support each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that is totally the goal of Loud Woman, just to get those spaces more safe and represent the people so we don't feel like the token character on stage. So I'm so glad that
Yeah.
you are helping organize the show. And do you want to shout out any of the other bands playing on the Sydney bill?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I should shout out everyone. Um,
I know it's hard.
I want to do it's very hard. I do want to shout out one local artist who has helped me with a couple of things with postering and hooking up some artist writer, and that is Emmy from Problem Green, who's based in Sydney. But honestly, I'm so excited for someone was asking me earlier today, who are you most excited about? And I feel like it's the kind of the question when someone asks you, what's your favorite song, like that you've written or something off an album, whatever. I'm like, it's like picking between children. It's really hard. Like I'm excited to seeing different artists for so many different reasons. But I think what I'm so excited about is to be able to because I'm such an advocate for New South Wales artists is to kind of bring them together and to platform them and to also bring them like in contact with other artists from interstate and from overseas as well and to kind of build that network. I think that's ultimately what I'm so excited about. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, we are so excited to host the show and we look forward to seeing all the amazing bands on the lineup. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but tell everyone how they can support you and the band.
You can support Second Idol by following us on socials. It's second_idol. Follow us on Bandcamp. We're about to release our debut album. So you can go on there and pre-order if you're into vinyl. You can pre-save our album to streaming as well. And we've also got a mailing list on our website if you're into mailing lists as well. And it's secondidol.com. You can sign up at. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Kate. It was amazing speaking with you. And everyone out there, make sure you buy your Loud Woman tickets. The show is coming up on December 7th. Thank you, Kate.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time.